Britain in the 1970s, motorways stretching further than ever, traffic divisions growing fast, crime rising, and police forces desperate for cars that could keep pace. Some vehicles rose to the challenge. Officers trusted them with their lives on the hard shoulder, others became a national embarrassment. One car was handed to panda car crews nationwide, only for police to quietly start dismantling it within weeks. What went wrong wasn't the engine, it wasn't the brakes, it was something far stranger, and far more visible, sitting right in front of the driver. Stay until number 1 because it genuinely shocked serving officers. Number 10. Triumph Toledo. Not every police car needed a V8 and a top speed to make headlines. Sometimes reliability and simplicity mattered more, and that's exactly what the Triumph Toledo offered rural forces across Britain in the early 1970s. Built by Triumph as a smaller, more affordable relation to the 1500, the Toledo used a modest 4-cylinder engine and rear-wheel drive, keeping running costs low for cash-strapped constabularies. Nottinghamshire's rural divisions leaned on it for exactly that reason. It wasn't fast. It wasn't glamorous. But officers appreciated a car that started every morning and didn't demand constant garage visits. The Toledo's compact size made it perfect for winding country lanes where a heavier saloon would struggle. Weaknesses? It lacked the presence and pace to intimidate anyone on a motorway. No criminal ever feared being chased by one. But for quiet patrol work, it did its job without complaint. Compared with what's coming next, that quiet reliability would soon look like a rare luxury. Number 9. Ford Escort Mark II. Merseyside police wanted something different. Something with genuine pace, built by a manufacturer already trusted across British roads. They found it in the Ford Escort Mark II, and specifically its RS2000 variant, a car that had already proven itself on rally stages before finding its way onto police books. Under the bonnet sat a 2.0-litre engine derived from the Pinto family, giving the RS2000 real bite compared with the humble Escorts patrolling elsewhere in the country. It could comfortably top 100 miles per hour, a useful figure for catching boy racers on the region's growing motorway network. Mechanics liked its simplicity. Officers liked its agility through tight urban streets, somewhere a heavier Rover or Jaguar felt clumsy. But the RS2000 wasn't built for comfort. Long motorway shifts left officers stiff and fatigued. Still, for pure pursuit work, few small saloons of the decade matched it. Merseyside had found their weapon. Other forces were about to discover a very different kind of British car altogether. Number 8. Jaguar 240. Before the XJ6 took over motorway duties, a leaner, cheaper Jaguar carried several forces into the new decade of policing. Somerset and Bath Constabulary's traffic department took delivery of a Jaguar 240 in November 1968, and it stayed on active patrol duty into the early 1970s, working out of Weston-super-Mare under the call sign Tango 2. The 240 was Jaguar's cost-conscious successor to the Mark II, with thinner bumpers and vinyl trim replacing leather, but it kept the character that made Jaguars a favorite of traffic units nationwide. Some forces specifically requested the older 3.4-litre engine over the standard 2.4, valuing the extra pace for genuine pursuit work. Officers loved the prestige and speed it carried over from its predecessor. Criminals who'd once outrun ordinary patrol cars in a Jaguar suddenly found the tables turned. Its weakness was age. By the early 1970s, newer saloons were already waiting in the wings. The next entry proved considerably more affordable to run. Number 7. Ford Granada 3000 GT. When Ford launched the Granada in 1972, it revived a big new executive saloon that police forces up and down the country took notice of immediately. Lancashire Constabulary ran the Ford Granada 3000 GT as a divisional traffic patrol car on non-motorway roads, painted in a striking livery bearing an unusual resemblance to American police cars of the era. Powered by Ford's 3.0-litre Essex V6, the Granada GT gave traffic units genuine performance without the running costs of a Jaguar or Rover V8. Avon and Somerset Constabulary later ran a fleet of the facelifted 3000S version, fitted with a proper police package that included an anti-speeding computer and public address system for motorway work. One journalist joked that unmarked versions could still be spotted by their number plates. The extra S badge, he suggested, stood for sneaky. Officers found it fast, dependable, and cheap to maintain. But cheap running costs meant little once a car's image turned into a national joke. Number 6. Jaguar XJ6. Few sounds struck more fear into a speeding motorist than a Jaguar XJ6 appearing in the rearview mirror. Several forces adopted the XJ6 during the 1970s for high-speed traffic and motorway pursuit duties, drawn to its 4.2-litre straight-six engine and genuinely refined ride at speed. It replaced the aging Mark II across several traffic divisions, carrying forward Jaguar's long-standing relationship with British policing generally. The XJ6 could comfortably exceed 120 miles per hour, an intimidating figure for the era, and its independent suspension gave officers confidence through fast sweeping bends that would unsettle lesser saloons. Officers loved the presence it commanded. Few drivers argued once pulled over by one. But Jaguars were never cheap to maintain, and running costs became a constant headache for procurement officers watching tightening budgets. One engineer later admitted the maintenance bills alone nearly ended several forces' Jaguar contracts entirely. Performance mattered, but the accountants were about to have their say, and their verdict would not favor the mark. Number 5. Rover P6 3500. If one car defined the British motorway patrol car of the early to mid-1970s, it was the Rover P6 3500. The Metropolitan Police and numerous other forces relied heavily on the P6 throughout the decade, drawn to its 3.5-litre V8, borrowed from Rover's own engineering program and shared with the Range Rover. That engine gave the P6 genuinely serious pace for its era, alongside handling praised as remarkably composed at speed. Officers found it as capable as the outgoing Jaguar S-Type on the limit, despite offering less outright power, largely thanks to superior weight balance and less brake fade under hard use. Traffic divisions did have one recurring complaint though. Boot space was tight, and fitting equipment alongside a detained suspect in the back proved genuinely awkward on busy shifts. Even so, the P6 became a beloved symbol of 1970s policing. Its successor would inherit that legacy, but not without controversy of its own, and not without genuine drama on the way. Number 4. Triumph 2500 Mk2. Inside the Metropolitan Police, opinion was often split between two rival saloons, and the Triumph 2500 had its own passionate defenders. Built as Triumph's in-house rival to the Rover P6, the 2500 used a 2.5-litre straight-six engine and offered a genuinely spacious cabin that many officers preferred over the Rover's tighter packaging. One serving officer of the era recalled driving the Triumph more often than the Rover throughout the decade, praising its roominess even while conceding the P6 V8 had the edge in outright driving pleasure. The 2500 handled long motorway shifts comfortably, and its automatic transmission suited stop-start urban patrol work just as well as open road pursuits. Would you have picked the Triumph over the flashier Rover? Plenty of real officers did, and for good reason. Its main weakness was simply living in the shadow of a more charismatic rival. But charisma alone wasn't enough for what British Leyland had planned next for its entire police fleet strategy. Number 3. Range Rover. When the Range Rover arrived in 1970, it changed what British police forces thought a patrol vehicle could actually do. Its 3.5-litre V8 gave it genuinely rapid acceleration and confident high-speed cruising, while permanent four-wheel drive delivered superb grip that no conventional saloon could match, especially across rural terrain and poor weather conditions. Motorway patrol units loved the vast rear load space, easily swallowing cones, signage, and emergency equipment that smaller cars simply couldn't carry. If a suspect fled the road entirely, into fields or rough tracks, the Range Rover was the vehicle built to follow. Some officers considered it the safest and most versatile car available to British policing throughout the decade. Its drawbacks were practical rather than mechanical. Fuel consumption was heavy, and purchase costs meant only certain forces could justify a full fleet. Even so, The Range Rover's reputation only grew from here. But the very next car would prove far more divisive with the public watching. Number 2. Rover SD1 3500. By 1976, Rover had a successor ready, and it would go on to become perhaps the most recognizable British police car of all. The Rover SD1 3500 carried over the beloved V8 engine from the P6, now wrapped in a striking hatchback body with genuine motorway pace and a wide-opening tailgate that traffic units found enormously practical. The Metropolitan Police adopted it within its first year of availability, initially in traditional blue, before the now iconic white livery with its orange stripe became a familiar sight by decade's end. Officers trusted its blend of speed and space. It could carry equipment, keep pace with almost anything on the road, and still look imposing doing it. Reliability, however, wasn't always its strongest suit, something that would only worsen through the following decade of ownership. For now, though, the SD1 was a genuine triumph for the whole department. One car remained, and it would embarrass the very officers meant to be taken seriously behind its wheel. Number 1. Austin Allegro. Here it is, the car that turned Britain's police panda fleet into a punchline. In 1973, the Metropolitan Police ordered 657 Austin Allegros to replace the aging Morris Minor on panda car duties. On paper it made perfect sense, cheap, simple, mechanically straightforward. Then officers got behind the wheel. British Leyland had fitted the Allegro with a quartic steering wheel, a rounded-off square shape marketed as futuristic. The press mocked it mercilessly. Officers found it genuinely awkward, and some suggested it contributed to handling difficulties out on patrol. Embarrassed officers began quietly removing the wheels almost as soon as the cars arrived, replacing them with conventional round units before anyone noticed. One engineer's diplomatic explanation summed it up perfectly: it simply didn't suit the police way of driving. The Allegro survived barely 2 years in that configuration before the quartic wheel was dropped for good. Would you have trusted your steering to a shape the whole nation was laughing at? These were the 10 cars, 10 very different stories. Some earned genuine respect on Britain's motorways. Others became cautionary tales, remembered for entirely the wrong reasons. The Allegro's steering wheel became a symbol of a wider struggle within British industry during the 1970s, a decade where ambition and misjudgment often arrived in the same vehicle. Which of these would you have wanted parked outside your local station? Which would you have dreaded being handed the keys to? If you remember seeing any of these on Britain's roads, or if you ever rode in one, share your memories below. We read every single comment. Until next time.